The Bell Road painted bike lanes are one of the most commonly used approaches for getting to and from downtown Halifax by bike. Running for a distance of 800 meters in the inbound direction and 500 meters in the outbound direction, the lanes serve as a useful connection between the bike infrastructure on the western and eastern ends of the peninsula. In today's video, I'll showcase the Bell Road lanes in both the inbound and outbound directions. As always, I'll be playing a game of +1 -2 along the way. Every time I encounter a piece of bike infrastructure that makes my trip safer or more convenient, I'll add a point. And every time I encounter something that makes it less safe and less convenient, I'll take away 2 points. You can keep track of how I think the ride is going by looking at the heads-up display in the bottom right-hand corner. First up, the Willow Tree intersection at Quinpool and Roby is a lot. It's routinely voted as kind of one of the worst intersections in the city, and it's easy to see why, with all the intersecting traffic kind of offset instead of at a T intersection. So the way I tend to think about it is that anyone that really wants to use a bike lane like on Bell Road probably doesn't want to go through this intersection, but this is how you access this particular portion of the bike lane. On the upside, the Bell Road bike lanes do actually cover a major roadway, which is super useful. The split lane heading towards Summer Street crossing the bike lane is obviously not ideal. There's a handy bike box at the intersection pulling double duty. First, if you're in the Bell Road bike lane, it allows you to navigate towards the front of the intersection and gives you traffic priority. Second, if you're merging in from the Commons multi-use path, it allows you to make a left-hand turn by navigating to the box and waiting for the green light. Unfortunately, cars tend to stop in them at the red light, and so they're frequently not available for use. It's just paint, but I like that the lane is marked through the intersection. The paving on the street used to be pretty terrible on the bike lane side of things, but the city's actually done quite a bit of patchwork over the summer, and now it's very usable. The lane disappears briefly towards the Sackville Street intersection because I guess cars need 2 different lanes to line up in. A nice feature is that there's a physical barrier at the intersection with Sackville, which prevents cars from cutting a hard right and mowing down any cyclists. The transition between the Bell Road painted bike lanes and the South Park Street protected bike lanes is extremely smooth. Okay, let's check out the outbound direction now. First up, in the outbound direction, the entire geometry of the street has been reshaped by these barriers, which prevents cars from turning onto Bell Road from Sackville, from tracing along the bike lane and kind of using it inappropriately. The lanes were recently widened somewhat, and so they feel much less claustrophobic than before. Coming up on the right, there's a useful connection to the Ahern multi-use path. This intersection isn't particularly bad, but you do need to be fairly aware of all the different conflicting lines of traffic and how they're going to interact with your lane going through. There are no right turns here, and so I theoretically don't need to worry about traffic moving in that direction and conflicting with me. There's no bike lane on Bell Road past Trollope, which is okay, I guess. The paint at the intersection will steer you onto the Commons, but directly following the paint will actually land you right into a solid curb, so don't follow it specifically. Pedestrian volumes can be kind of high, but overall the transition onto the Commons from Bell Road is pretty smooth. As a quick summary, the Bell Road painted bike lanes create a useful connection to downtown Halifax. They do suffer a bit from not really consistently maintaining traffic separation, just due to things like cars parking in the bike boxes, lanes dropping out of existence, or slip lanes. But overall, they are still a pretty useful way of getting around town, and you should check them out if this is along your commuting path. As always, thanks for watching, and see you next time.